Okay, guys, welcome back to the Seth Solo Side Quest. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Sky Sports finishing off their deal with boxer Ben Shalom's boxing company. And it looking like Sky Sports is potentially done with boxing for the time being. Of course, they previously had Matchroom under Sky Sports Boxing. But when the Matchroom deal had completed, they then went with Boxer, like I said, who's Ben Shalom's company, and they signed a multi-year deal, and now that multi-year deal has come to an end. Ben Shalom has largely come under criticism during his time at Sky Sports, where he's not been overly aggressive in trying to really make big name and super exciting fights happen. It seems like throughout this sort of tenure at Sky Sports, Ben Shalom's sort of strategies mostly been around using the Sky Sports platform to build up younger stars, whereas Sky Sports really wanted him to use the platform to bring the biggest stars in boxing to Sky Sports for huge ratings, right? And it does kind of show the downgrade in Sky Sports, where if you look at Matchroom's roster when their Sky Sports deal ended, and you look at Boxer's roster when their Sky Sports deal ended, huge step down, right? Where you're looking now at currently the current Boxer stable, and there isn't really any big pay-per-view draws there. And none of the guys that he's tried to build up over the years have really become pay-per-view draws like that, right? The biggest star with under Boxer at the moment, 100%, is Chris Eubank Jr., who's probably not signed a multi-year contract. He's probably signed a 2 or 3 fight deal, and all 3 of those fights, to be fair, they will be mega fights, but look, you can't build a promotional stable around an aging Chris Eubank Jr. You don't grow a promoter who wants to be one of the big players in the game. You don't build your company, your promotional brand, around a aging, past his prime Eubank Jr. You don't. And he only recently signed with Boxer as well. Like, by now this deal is over. You know, he signed with Boxer in July 2024. Right? To be fair, again, one of the biggest commercial successes in boxing in many years was Eubank Jr. v Ben, which was a Boxer promotion. To be fair, that happened in April 25. Huge sellout, probably done insane numbers at the gate. I can't imagine the sort of numbers that sort of fight done at the gate. And of course, they've got a rematch clause, so they'll get that again as well. And potentially, if Chris Eubank Jr. can beat Conor Ben twice, he'll be trying to get a super fight of his own against probably Terence Crawford or Canelo. And then again, meaning would be another big payday for Boxer. But at the end of the day, Sky Sports is paying Boxer to deliver a number of events, not just 1 or 2 or 3 really big events. No, you need to be delivering at a very regular rate, right? And you look at the other names in the Boxer stable, they're just not able to do that. Joshua Buatsi, who signed a long-term deal with Boxer in March 2023. Again, he's not a world champion, not a huge draw, for being honest. An exciting fighter, a good fighter in his own right, a guy who's been moved his way up the rankings, beaten a lot of guys, lost to Callum Smith, but still a very respected name in the sport. But again, he's not a huge name. Caroline Dubois, again, not a big name at all. She's a women's boxing world champion. Like, she's not. To be fair, she's one of the few world champions boxers got, but she's not a big name, right? Then you've got Fraser Clark, who, to be honest, before Fraser Clark's losses to Fabio Wardley, would have been regarded as one of the top up-and-comers in the heavyweight division. I wouldn't say he's a prospect. I don't think he's super young, but an experienced boxer. He was an Olympic bronze medalist, so serious amateur pedigree. Of course, now he's coming off, but I think he's fought since, but had 2 really bad knockouts. Not 2 really bad, one really bad knockout against Fabio Wardley. And that's the sort of knockout that will really derail a lot of hype. And even before the Wardley fight, Fraser Clark wasn't a nailed-on pay-per-view draw at all, right? And then they've got some rising talents, who, to be fair, I wouldn't say. I mean, they are rising talents in terms of popularity, but some guys have really sort of arrived, right? You've got Chris Billum-Smith, a cruiserweight champion, or former cruiserweight champion. I don't know if he still is, currently cruiserweight champion. You've got Martin Bakole, who, well, for a long time, not anymore, anymore, but for a long time was regarded as a boogeyman in the heavyweight division. Of course, you've got prospects like Adam Azim and Ben Whittaker. Now, these are two guys where, to be honest, boxers should, and they are trying to build around these guys. They're trying to put them in main events. They're trying to build them up. Unfortunately, it looks like time's run out with them in terms of doing it on Sky Sports. Because these two are interesting prospects, and to be fair, they're probably maybe two of my favourite prospects coming out of the UK at the moment in Adam Azim and Ben Whittaker. Both guys who, I know Ben Whittaker in particular, and I think Adam Azim as well, they've both got a lot of amateur pedigree. And you know what, I love that in my boxers, a big amateur pedigree. And so far as a pro, they have really impressed me. Adam Azim shown a lot of talent. So same with Ben Whittaker, actually. Even getting a knockout over Liam Cameron in his last fight. But Ben Whittaker's a serious boxer, serious fighter. Again, like Adam Azim, they've both got serious pedigree. And no doubt in the future, depending on how their weight class turns out, could become a world champion. Lightweight at the moment is awful, but great. As a fan watching it, it's amazing. But as a guy like Adam Azim looking at the top of the division, I'm thinking there is nobody there that I want to fight at lightweight. I say that in terms of no easy fights at the top of lightweight. There's no gimme fights where, of course, he would want to fight them, no doubt. As a guy who's a boxer who would want to test himself, he would want to fight those guys. But you're looking at them. You're looking at the Zepadas, the Shakur Stevensons, the Javonte Davises, a number of guys that are campaigning in and around those weight divisions. And to be fair, even the same for Ben Whittaker at light heavyweight. You know, Ben Whittaker's an Olympian silver medalist. But you look at the top at light heavyweight, you see, to be fair, and guys who he could beat, but you see guys like David Benavidez, David Morrell, Beterbiev, Bivol, Anthony Yard, Boatsi, you know, a stablemate. I mean, that fight could happen, actually. Honestly, in one or two more fights, not Liam Cameron, Ben Whittaker v Joshua Boatsi, that's a big domestic fight. In terms of light heavyweight fights, that's a big domestic fight, right? Maybe that's a title eliminator. Then maybe the winner of that fights David Benavidez. It's getting real interesting real quick at light heavyweight, right? But again, there's some interesting names there, but when Eubank Jr. and Boatsi are, in reality, are only marquee draws, you're not going to be able to deliver at a rate where an organisation like Sky expects you to, if we're being honest. Whereas you compare Matchroom's roster to boxers at the time, you know, the Sky Sports deal ended. They have undoubtedly, at that point, one of the largest draws in boxing, Anthony Joshua. Whatever you want to say about Anthony Joshua as a boxer, as a person, as a businessman, whatever, at that point was undoubtedly one of the biggest draws in boxing. Even now, he's lost a couple fights now. Even now, Anthony Joshua, tomorrow, they could announce events tomorrow, not literally tomorrow, but they can announce he's fighting, and he would still comfortably sell out O2, which is 17,000, 18,000 people. I think the days of Anthony Joshua selling out Wembley, after that Daniel Dubois lost, it's unlikely now. And to be fair, unless a Tyson Fury fight comes up, which, who knows? If we're being honest, that easily could come up. But yeah, I say all that to say, Matchroom had one of the biggest names in the sport in Anthony Joshua. They also had, obviously Canelo Alvarez wasn't actually a Matchroom fighter, but that it was known and clear that they had a good working relationship, and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom worked with Canelo on a number of events, right? And again, Canelo, one of the biggest draws in the game. Then you had guys that were, you know, a slightly lower level. Lawrence Okolie, who was a cruiserweight world champion. Conor Benn, who was a rising star in his own right, but again, at that point was not main eventing shows. But again, Conor Benn, at that point, wasn't a guy who was expected to main event shows. He was treated as sort of like a secondary attraction, right? You put him on the undercard, co-main, third from top, fourth from top, and people would be like, oh, Conor Benn's fine, let me watch it, you know? And you had Conor Benn there And because you had the marquee names like the AJs and the Canelos, you could afford to build up a guy like Conor Benn. Boxer didn't have that marquee attraction to build up those younger guys. They've just been trying to build up those younger guys. And without the marquee attraction, how are you getting people through the door? In this case, how are you getting people to click onto Sky? You're not. So this deal's not really working, so Sky Sports end it. Right? That being said, for the sake of boxing, I hope Sky Sports don't just leave the boxing industry now. It could happen. Of course it could happen where deals from streamers, they're offering better deals. DAZN's offering a better deal. Netflix is offering good deals. You know, if the marketplace dictates that Sky Sports can't be competitive or Sky Sports aren't willing to be competitive, then that'll be it for Sky Sports boxing. But I hope it's not. Like, after Matchroom left Sky Sports, that then almost opened up an opportunity for another promoter to come in. And no doubt, Boxer is a lot bigger now than when it was before Sky. Without a doubt. Without a doubt, it's a lot bigger now. Who knows? There's a lot of promoters in the UK. A lot of promoters in the UK that want to compete at the next level, want to be given that opportunity. Maybe a new deal comes out for a new promoter. Doesn't have to be a closed shop between Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, and Ben Shalom. Doesn't have to be. It can be. No doubt those promoters would like it to be. No doubt it probably is easier for Sky if it's like that. But there's loads of promoters up and down the UK and all across Europe that would want that opportunity. And if they did get that opportunity, maybe they would, you know, maybe try and push the envelope a bit more than a Ben Shalom. Right? I don't know. I don't think it's always as bad as we make it out to be initially when we hear, oh, the Boxer deal's up, Sky Sports want to get out of boxing. Not necessarily. Sky Sports might want to be in boxing, just not with Boxer. Right, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting, but yeah. Ben Shalom's left Sky Sports, Boxer's left Sky Sports. I wonder where they'll turn up next. Who knows? But yeah, another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.